A major cold blast is on the way into the eastern United States, and that'll be coming over the course of this weekend. So stick around for the rest of the video to see what areas will be impacted. Alrighty, let's get into today's video. So we're starting off taking a look at the European model. As you can see right now, we do have some snow showers around. Whoops, I gotta change the color. There we go. We do have some snow showers around in the Great Lakes, in the Midwest area. Otherwise than that, we just have this low pressure system bringing some snow showers and snow flurries to the northeast. So other than that, nothing too much else going on right now. So let's move along to the next frame. And then as you can see, this moves off into central Pennsylvania, and then it will bring some snowfall to further areas in the northeast. But we will see some lake effect snowfall out of this system towards areas like Erie, northeastern Ohio. There, we could see some lake effect snowfall out of that. Other than that, let's continue moving along. And you could see this type of thing. It kind of strengthens over the ocean once again. And you can see the rain snow line is just offshore there. So it should be all snow on land. So you can see some intense snow bands inside this. And then you see this very intense trough type of look. As you can see, we have this ridge in the west, and then as it kind of goes up, we have this kind of trough in the east type look here. And this is a very deep trough. This is going to bring some very intense cold air down to the south. And as it continues pushing further south, as we'll see in these next few frames. So let's take a look at that. It continues pushing down further to the south, even into areas like the Carolinas, even into areas like South Carolina, North Carolina, areas in the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes. All those areas could potentially see some very frigid conditions over the course of this weekend. This is Monday. So Saturday night and Sunday morning are going to be the main times to watch for some of that activity of cold air. So anyways, taking a look at this, then we do have this big warm-up for the east now, though. We have more kind of this zonal flow. We kind of more have like a ridge over the east type look here. And then we had the jet stream shifting to the further north. So the United States might be a little bit lower on activity, except if you live in the Pacific Northwest. That looks to be getting hit pretty hard on Wednesday. Other than that, nothing much happening. And then the jet stream really kind of lifts off to the north, and we're going to have to watch this for a severe weather potential. We have the low pressure system. We have the warm front over top. We have the cold front on the bottom here. We have the warm air surging up to the east. So all signs of a classic severe weather setup. We have the initial line of storms, and we have also the cells out ahead of the line. So just a classic severe weather setup we're going to have to keep our eyes on. So continuing to move along, you can see it kind of just lifts off to the north. We get another little warm up here. We'll have to watch this again for some severe weather. Depending on the temperature, that will kind of depend a lot on the temperature of these next few setups, just because of the fact that if it's too cold, then severe weather is likely not going to happen. So continuing to move along, we don't really have much happening. We have some snow flurries out in the Rockies and the Midwest on this day. Then everything kind of shifts to the east. Then we don't really have much happening for a while until we have kind of this little northwesterly flow. All the way, a very intense ridge in the west and trough in the east look again. So we're going to have to keep watching this. And with this kind of pattern, this is going to be prime. Whoops. What did I do? Anyways, this is going to kind of be prime for nor'easters, because as you can see, we keep getting these storms riding up the coast here. And if they can get a little further inland, we can see some pretty intense snow to these areas. So anyways, continuing to move along, we see this trough. It kind of moves off. Then we see another warm up thing for the east. We're also going to have to watch this for some severe weather with the storms back behind the snow system. Pennsylvania areas in there and Virginia could get some pretty heavy snowfall out of this system. This is about Sunday the 28th. So that was the end of the model run. So that was the European model. So anyways, that was the European model, like I said. Let's see if we can't find, something like, let's take a look maybe at another model here. Whoops. Wrong thing. Okay, let's take a look at another model here. We're gonna look at the NAM model. Let's see. We're gonna see. Let's see. Let's take a look at precipitation type. So, the NAM model, as you can see, showing a similar thing. We have this clipper system moving down to the south and east. And this is going to kind of bring a lot of snowfall to these areas. We can see areas as high as 8 inches in some spots, like southern Ohio, the Appalachian Mountains in here, areas that get extra lake effect snowfall, areas off the coast here, because the coast is going to enhance some moisture. So let's take a look at that. As you can see, we get some pretty intense snow bands in here, areas like northern Kentucky, southern Ohio. These areas are going to be the bullseyes to watch for the highest snowfall amounts. So when I say the highest snowfall amounts, I'm not counting the lake effect snowfall. Because if I was counting lake effect snowfall, areas near the lakes would get the highest amounts. But when I say highest, this is just regular storm total. As you can see, we do get areas like south central Pennsylvania, areas in Kentucky, West Virginia, New Jersey, New York City getting in on some pretty heavy snowfall. All in these areas. So we're going to take a look at snowfall amounts real quick on the NAM in a second. But let's continue throughout the rest of the model run. As you can see, we actually do get some snow flurries extending further south from this. And this would be, this is like Sunday. I believe this would like be the morning on Sunday, like early morning. But we do get some flurries extending further south. We shouldn't see too much accumulation from that. Then we get this second system riding along the northern jet. And then nothing else much happens other than that. So let's take a look at snowfall amount here. So let's take a look at winter weather, total snowfall. Alright, so anyways, going into full screen here. As you can tell, we have 8 to 10 inch snowfall across central Illinois and into the Appalachians. It kind of does skip a little bit over central Pennsylvania due to some other factors like all the mountains to the west like wringing out all the moisture and factors like that, as well as the fact that why does it re-strengthen over in eastern Pennsylvania is because of the Atlantic moisture. It has more moisture to latch onto, and so that's why we see more snowfall over here and to the west, but not in central Pennsylvania. It's kind of a little dry pocket, but if we can see this change, I believe that central Pennsylvania could get some pretty big snowfall out of this if it changes, but if it does not change, then this would be the likely outcome, up to an inch of snowfall in central Pennsylvania. So a dusting to an inch, that's what I would say. Then we do have these areas like, I guess you can say kind of like bullseye areas across central Illinois, northeastern West Virginia. And northeastern West Virginia is an interesting area because the mountains, it kind of like, you can see how the slopes kind of stop the snowfall there. And it kind of just like mounts up on the mountains. So as you can tell, up to 10 inches of snowfall for parts of West Virginia there. Depending on where you are in West Virginia, you can get higher amounts, higher elevations. And then you see this next system comes through, not really too much Mostly the highest areas in areas like Pennsylvania and New York would be like the lake effect snowfall areas. Whoops. I did not mean to do that. Okay. So as you can tell, the highest areas are lake effect snowfall in New York and Pennsylvania, like up to 16 inches, 12 inches, 12 to 16 inches. Areas near Erie getting up to like 8 to 10 inches, but most of this is going to be from lake effect snowfall. If it weren't for lake effect snowfall, it'd be more like the surrounding areas, like 3 to 4 inches down here. So that is why those areas are expecting higher snowfall amounts. So, anyways, let's see. Let's take a look at the European model. Let's see what it says about the snowfall. We just looked at the Euro model, but we kind of didn't really look at the snowfall amount. So, let's take a look at the total snowfall. This is assuming a 10-to-1 ratio. So, it's not going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to give you a general idea. As you can tell, we still have those kind of bullseyes, and on the European model, it kind of counts the sinking air as a less factor, over 1 to 2 inches for central Pennsylvania on the Euro model. And then we have like 6 to 8 inches for the slopes. So it's saying that the slopes are not going to block as much moisture. So if we could see this system move faster, the slopes wouldn't block as much moisture, I believe. And we still have these bullseye areas, but they're not as much as it would be on the NAM model. And then we have the rain snow line being pretty far offshore on this model. We have it all the way out here and way out in the Atlantic. So, and then we even have some light accumulations down into southern Kentucky there, mountains of North Carolina, that kind of area. If we keep moving along, we have these other systems moving along. The Rocky Mountains and Sierra Nevada get some pretty good snowfall. I mean, look at this. All the way up into Canada, the mountains get over like 60 inches of snowfall. That's crazy. But it's likely from all the moisture just being pushed in. So areas like the Cascades, the Rockies, and the Sierra Nevadas are going to get some pretty good snowpack from this. Hopefully this helps out with the wildfire season next year. But then we see some decent snowfall up in the northern plains. If you live in the very most northern areas, you could see potentially up to 10 inches of snow out of these few systems. They're definitely gonna be there. Although the placement, especially for systems more than 3 days out, is unknown, it's hard to guess that. But as you see, it shows by the end of the run, it shows another big system coming through areas in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, getting a pretty good like 6 inches out of that last system. So let's take a look at the GFS model here. We're not I don't necessarily know that how accurate this would be. We're just exploring all possibilities here of this system. So let's move down to the precipitation. So the precipitation type, so that's what we're going to be looking at. Okay. Now, as you can see, it's very similar to all the other models we looked at in the very close range. Obviously, because the close range is not that hard to predict, but what's going to be hard to predict is what happens when it moves to the east. Some are saying sinking air will be a factor in central Pennsylvania, and then also the mountains are going to block some snowfall. This is the big system we're looking out for right now, so let's see what the GFS says. And it kind of shows the mountains taking quite a bit of this moisture. After the fact, we do have some lake effect snow showers coming through, reaching central Pennsylvania, but other than that, not a lot is happening. But the Northeast in general is what we're going to be talking about for this system. Areas that I expect to be in the highest areas are areas in here. Well, maybe a little bit further south than that. I'm going to shift it like here. So this is the areas I expect to have the highest totals, and then of course near the coast there. So those are the areas that I expect. And then we have this warm up happening on the model. Uh, we do have this potential severe weather event for the deep south here. Uh, and then we'll have to see what happens after this. Not really much else happens. Very similar to the European model, though. We have this other system with the low pressure system, although the warm front and the cold front are more intense on this one, as well as we have this bigger warm sector, way more intense warm sector further north. And then we have the cold blast coming in behind it, and then it kind of warms up back again. And then we have another severe weather potential to watch out for. And then we have this, obviously, the warm sector being much larger than the other one. So we have a very, very intense system here. Obviously, we're going to just have to like watch and see what happens with this. You can never know 100% certain, especially with how far out it's going to be. And then we have these systems of low pressure systems, kind of like we saw in the European model. So if these systems could track, so if we look at the end of the model run, we have very intense cold coming to the east, and this would be something insane because the 540 line, which is pretty much the freezing line, is all the way down here. And this would mean snowfall for the outer banks of these areas. The coastal areas, so obviously not something to be super hyped up about because this is a very unlikely scenario what we would see happening in 991 low, very strong low. We would have this going the very intense winds and then we would have some potential for very intense snowfall off the coast here. And this would like bring really cold temperatures to these areas. Like, let's see what it would say on the temperature. Let's see. So switching over to the temperature, let's see. Okay. Well, there it is. Okay. So pretty much the surface temperature we're looking at here. Let's go all the way to the end of the model run on this. So this is Sunday, the 29th, Monday. Okay. So this would bring really cold temperatures. Like, this isn't as intense as what we're seeing now, but the freezing line is all the way down here. Like we were talking about 20 something degrees in Boston there, 18 degrees in Connecticut. Very intense cold, -9 degrees in central Pennsylvania. This should be a very unlikely scenario, although it's not out of the question. It's just very unlikely with how intense this would have to be. This would bring very, very intense cold down into the east from the Arctic. Uh, as you can see, like really cold temperatures, especially in the Great Lakes region. Very far below average in terms of what would be happening in the south there. We would have like 30-degree temperatures as far south as Charleston. So this is a very unlikely scenario, but it's not out of the question. So taking a look at the current radar, there's not much else happening other than this. So we're just going to really talk about this. The precipitation. Okay. Let's see. The precipitation type here. Obviously, all snow here. We have some very intense bands embedded within this, and we have this kind of little occluded front here, bringing some. It's kind of like the boundary between the dry and precipitation. And we do already have some snowfall beginning for western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. So let's take a look at the cameras here. Yeah, it's snowing pretty heavy there. let's see. We do have areas in New York. Let's go. Areas in New York getting some pretty heavy snowfall. We do have some lake effect showers in western Michigan. Let's see, areas like St. Joseph, what is that? Muskegon. And then northern Michigan getting some lake effect snow as that wind blows across the lakes, and it brings some pretty intense snow at times. But as far as that goes, there's nothing else really going on. Let's see. Yeah, nothing else really going on. We do have some extreme cold warnings issued all the way from Montana down to the Gulf Coast. So that's pretty intense cold. We're gonna expect really intense cold over the next few days, especially in the eastern United States. Uh, let's move along to the Weather Prediction Center, where we can see this system bringing snow all the way from Montana into Pennsylvania, uh, into the Great Lakes, where we can see the areas of heaviest snow being in West Virginia and Ohio. Mixed precipitation to the south of that. And then for the coast, we do see some pretty heavy snow shower. We could see some pretty heavy snow showers in this region. So just something to watch out for as we move along. The system kind of dies out. We mostly have snowfall for the coast, and that's about it. We do have some light snow showers hanging around for these areas. Other than that, nothing much happening. And then on this part of the run, we have, on this part of the page, we have some mixed precipitation out for the northwest, as well as the potential for some freezing rain here in southwest Michigan. So, really not much happening other than this big snowstorm. And then we have the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, December 19th through the 23rd. And we have a kind of more of like that zonal flow type look, the most intense ridging being in the desert southwest to the Gulf Coast here. Now moving down to the precipitation, we do have kind of this wet west and then the northeast, and then everywhere else is either below average or near average. So not really a lot happening on the precipitation side other than the west. So let's see. Moving along. Let me see. There it goes. Okay. This is the 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook. This is valid from the 21st through the 27th. And we kind of have this ridge getting more intense, reaching all the way up to the northeast now. And really not much else happening. By the way, we will have some very intense warmth. I did make a graphic for that, but I don't think I'm going to show it in this video. But I posted it, so if you want to go check that out. We have 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook. We have the drier south here, and then we have the wetter west and then the north. So pretty much the west and the north is going to be the main areas of activity we watch over the next few days. National Weather Service watch warning advisory. We have some winter weather advisories out for the well, I guess this would be like winter storm warnings for areas in here. But we also have some winter weather advisories. I think we do also have some lake effect snow warnings out. And then we have some winter storm warnings out and winter weather advisories out for the East Coast there. Then we have obviously this big sector of cold weather advisories all the way down from the northern plains to Florida here, the Gulf Coast. So that's something crazy that I don't know if we've seen that in a while. But anyways, thank you for watching today's video, and if you haven't already, you should check out EpicPen. They have the free version for the pen eraser highlighter screenshot tool, 16 colors, or they have the pro version for $2 a month. And you get the pen eraser highlighter, fading ink, highlighted cursor, shapes tools, text tools, whiteboard, blackboard, screenshot tools, 24 colors, easy license management, and great value. So thank you for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.